Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Saucy Sean's Fine Eats, where we make real food for real people. So today, this is going to be a video that's going to be in many segments because it's going to take a while to do. A little bit of history here. Back many years ago, for a number of summers, we went to Old McDonald's Resort up on Buffalo Lake, camping. And we found this path. It's a road allowance. And there was a lot of Saskatoon and chokecherries on it. And usually, by the time we were up there, the Saskatoons were done, but the chokecherries were coming on pretty ripe. And so we'd pick a bunch, and then Sean, being Sean, he'd make syrup out of them or something, and came to the point where we were making syrup out camping and canning it and bringing it home and having it for a while. I haven't done that for quite a few years. Now Sarah and Zach and the families were up there this last weekend, and I sort of said to Sarah as she was leaving to go up, hey, you guys should go pick some chokecherries and bring them back, and I'll make syrup for us all. Well, they didn't do that, but she did. On Monday, she was on her way out, and she realized, hey, I've got this little empty cooler beside me. I could go grab a few chokecherries. So she did. Now, you're asking, what are chokecherries? Well, there you go. These are chokecherries. They grow on trees, obviously. They are fairly bitter. They really, as they stand, as they're fresh, aren't really that great. But you add some syrup to them and they got a really nice taste. So what we're going to do today is make some chokecherry syrup. How much we're going to end up with, I don't know yet. It's a process where we take the chokecherries, we put them in the pot, and we try and get out all the bits of leaves and stuff. And we fill water just to the surface of the chokecherries. And then what we're going to do is bring them to a boil. We're going to mash them down. Sorry about the planes. Really busy airport today. And keep them boiling for a bit. And so we're taking all the juice out of them. We're going to strain out the juice. We're going to measure it. And we're going to put a cup of sugar for each cup of juice. We're going to put it back in a pot, bring it to a boil. Different recipes say different things. I'm going to aim for 15 to 20 minutes because I want it to thicken up a little bit. Then we're going to put it into sterilized jars or bottles. And then we're going to hot bath can them. And then we're done. So it's going to take a while to get all this done. But we'll see what happens. While I'm doing it, I'm also going to be starting a batch of my soon-to-be world-famous barbecue sauce, and I might show you some pictures of that, but maybe that'll be a different video. We'll see how it goes, because Sean doesn't know yet. So to start this up, I'm just going to turn these on. We're using the Camp Chef Denali Pro outdoor stove. It's really great, really great. Sarah and Janice did some canning yesterday, or pickling, and ended up using it, and it worked out really well. So we're going to keep that up today. So we're going to turn this on, bring it to a boil, mash them up a bit after they start to kind of crack open, and see where it takes us. Okay, so we're now boiling really well, and I'm just going to skim off some a little bit of gunk off the top here. So the chokecherry is, I showed you a picture, they're a really small cherry, and they're have very little meat around them and a lot of pit. But you'll see that we're starting to split open. They're boiling really well. So what I'm going to do is turn them down a bit and mash them up, because we want to make sure they break up really well and we get all that juice out of them, so that we have a really nice syrup. Ooh, look, a big leaf. I'm not too worried about some little stems and some leaves and stuff in here. It just is going to add flavor at this point. We're probably going to let these boil for about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's call it at least 10, just to get as much mush out of here as we can. Make sure that they're well broken up. Make sure that we've reduced it a little bit. Then we're going to take it out, strain it. Now, if you have cheesecloth, you might want to line your strainer with it. If you have a jelly bag, you can use it. I'm just going to do it my camping way. which is I'm just going to put it into the colander, let it drain out, switch it, then measure the juice and sugar, put it all together. Do it the easy way. I'm going to try something different too. I'm trying these bottles. I'm going to try them for syrup and also for sauce. This is an experiment for Saucy Sean's Fine Neats barbecue sauces. Yeah, I know it's syrup, but it's going to give me the same outcome. So we're going to see how that works. This is going to be an experiment today, so I'm busy bringing this canner to boil over here so that I can put the bottles in it to sterilize them. I'll have another small pot on the barbecue burner in a bit just to heat up the lids so they're hot, so that put them on, put them in the hot water bath. I'm going to put them in for about 20 minutes just to be sure that they're well boiled. Now, I'm not an expert at water bath canning. I used to do a bunch of it. I haven't done much in years. But here's the things. You need to be clean. You need to be hot. You need to be clean. And you need to make sure that water covers your entire jar, or else there's going to be problems. It's not going to seal properly. You're not going to boil off all the air. Basically what you're trying to do is create a vacuum. You see vacuum sealed on some jars and the little button on top? What you're doing is you're creating a vacuum. You're boiling that up. And then when you take it out, you let it cool. And when water boils, what happens? It expands. When it cools, it contracts from its expansive point. Then it becomes ice and it expands a bit again. Water's weird. And fish pee in it. That's why you should drink whiskey. Or so I've been told. But we're going to do that so that when it sucks back down, it creates a vacuum and it keeps all the contaminants out. It's food safe. It'll store on the shelf for quite a while. That's why you water bath, and that's why it's important that it's covered. Your jars are covered in water, and you follow the recipe directions for how long it needs to be bathed to be food safe. We'll come back with more in a little bit. Okay, so a couple things I've discovered, remembered. This style of potato masher really is not the best for doing this. As much as I hate them, you want one of the round ones. It's got little holes in them, but that's okay. You know what I say? You can still eat it. So I'm going to take this pot with gloves, dump her into here, scatter a mess everywhere. I'll rinse that out in a couple minutes, and we're going to let this drain for, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we're going to measure it, put it back in a pot, and bring it to a boil with an equal amount of sugar. Let it boil for a while, and then we're going to have our syrup, and then we're going to bottle it. Sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds good to me. Talk to you again. I got about 2 liters of syrup, of juice out of the berries. And so what I'm doing is just putting bottles, jars in to boil. So to sterilize. Gonna leave that. I want to boil them for at least 5 minutes. I've got to put caps on the stove in a few minutes. But I've got my syrup, my juice I should say, in here. It's on kind of a medium heat. I got 2 liters of it. It's 2 quarts, give or take. So I'm going to put the same amount of sugar in. Just going to pour that in there. I should have brought a cleaner spoon, but this will work. I'm going to stir it up. So we're going to let this come up to a boil, and then we're going to boil it gently, but a little bit firmly, for about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. These berries naturally have pectin in them, so they will thicken up. I've never had this turn into jelly accidentally, but it is something you want to be aware of, that it could turn into jelly on you. So I'm not going to get too much syrup out of this batch. I'm probably going to get maybe 3 liters after the sugar's added in. But that's okay. It's enough. It's enough to have a nice little treat. And we'll see where it goes with us, right? This is just part of the fun of summer processing of food. I've done the same thing with Saskatoon berries. You can do the same kind of thing. Actually, I've done this a lot with frozen berries. I'll take frozen berries and make a berry syrup, and I'll just leave the berries right in it. Turns out really good usually. Done that a lot for catering and camp cooking. It's just about providing a nice fresh change of pace from your Aunt Jemima's. Oh, I said Aunt Jemima. Whoops. Your Pearl Mills. There's the one it's called now. Or your Mrs. Butterworth's. Why isn't that a problem? Why is Jemima a problem but not Butterworth? I don't get it. Anyways, it's just a nice change of pace. Something a little bit different for your taste buds. Something homemade. Something everyone appreciates. So we're going to bring this to a boil. So we're going to boil it for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We're going to skim off any scum that forms after it's done. These bottles will be hot. I'll have taken them off, cleaned up this table a little bit, and we'll put them on. And yeah, we're good to go. So stay tuned. I'm back. Now, a few things I forgot to say. So one, and this is actually very important, is, well, everything I'm about to say is very important, but here, I'll start with this one. Doing a jelly jam type thing like this, you can expect that as it boils up, you want to have a lot of headroom in your pot, because it's going to go from almost boiling to boiling over faster than you can imagine. So you got to watch for that. You got to take it easy, do it gently, don't go on high heat, do it on medium high. Let it boil up, turn your heat down a bit, let it simmer, boil. But it'll boil over very, very fast, and it's sugar water. It's very sticky. If it gets on you, it's going to make a mess. Next thing along that lines is, this is just one man's take on stuff. This is not meant to be this is exactly how you do it video. Close. But you need to make sure that you check everything you're doing for safety. Make sure what I'm saying is safe. Don't just assume it is. Make sure it's safe. Make sure that you're creating stuff that's food safe, that's shelf stable, that's not going to make you sick. You can do this same recipe, not seal this and store it in the fridge for a few weeks. I'm doing it this way to put it on the shelf for a few months. Big difference. I think what I'm doing is safe. I've done it before. I've never used these jars before. This is kind of new, but I have confidence in what I'm doing. But you should trust you and your information. Get a cookbook on Canon. Bernardin, one of the big glass makers, jar makers, they've got books on Canon. Joy of Cooking has whole sections on it. Do the research to make sure you make it safe for you and your family. Please. I'm not responsible for what you do. Remember that. That's my legal disclaimer. Now, I turned this up a little bit, and it's starting to boil pretty good. We're almost at the 10-minute mark. I didn't skim this off. I thought, meh, I don't care. I'm not going for a contest here. I'm just going for food. I boiled these jars for probably 10 minutes. I've got my lids boiling right now in hot water. Actually, I can turn them off. That's to sterilize them and to get the seals a little bit pliant, that's the word, so soft, so that they'll seal properly when we hot water bath it. There is also, I'm trying to understand and learn more about commercial processing, because I eventually want to take a sauce I'm making, or a dozen of them, to market. I'm trying to understand how they do things, and it really comes down to, you have to have the right equipment, the right environment, the right amount of money, the right contacts, and it should all work. But I'm close enough. So my timer just went off, so I'm going to dismiss it. I'm going to turn off this brew here. I'm going to grab this funnel, which I sterilized earlier. You may or may not have seen that. I'm going to take a bottle, and I'm going to take this nice little scoopy spoony thing here, dip her in. I don't know how much of a mess I'm about to make. Lots of mess. Okay, good to know, Sean. Well, that's what laundry's for, right? Okay, this funnel sucks. I was afraid of that. It really sucks. I was trying to find a funnel. A regular Canon funnel won't work for this stuff because it's too... The neck is too narrow on these jars. So I was hoping to find a funnel that would work. Now you want to fill to about a 1/4 inch of the top. You leave a little bit of headroom for expansion in the water bath. This is the other reason I don't want to use it for sauce right now, is I need a better funnel. Grab my caps. So the next thing we're going to do is just wipe down the top, the threads a little bit because I got way too much syrup everywhere. I'm going to grab a cap, screw it on loosely, well, snugly. Tell you what, it's a lot easier using wide mouth than it is using these. It's not bad. I got 8 bottles. 8 bottles of syrup. I like that. Hopefully it didn't turn to jelly on me. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, these bottles are hot too. It's kind of a, if you're a wussy with your fingers, you're not going to like doing this. Give these a quick wipe down. Okay, so now, the other problem I have with these bottles is I don't really have a good pair of tongs to put them in the canner with. So we're just going to do the best we can. We're going to put them in. Try not to have them touching each other. Now, before you start your timing, you want to wait for the canner to come back to a boil, because it's actually the boiling time that's important. So I'm going to try and fit all 8 of these in here. the canner is going to boil over a few times. That's a nice thing about doing it outside here, is it really doesn't matter. So we're going to let that come back to a boil. We're going to boil that for, I'm going to call it 20 minutes just to make sure they're well boiled and sealed. It's not going to hurt them to be a bit longer. So now the real question you're wondering is, how does it taste? Now, you can actually see on this spoon how it's gelling up a bit. So this could become a really good thick syrup. Oh, that's good. Oh, been a long time since I've had homemade chokecherry syrup. That is really good, folks. Give that a try on some pancakes. You won't regret it. Anyways, we may be boiling already. No, I've got it on low. There we go. I'm going to bring this back to a boil. 20 minutes. Pull them out. I'll show them to you. And we're done. Thanks for watching. Okay, so the timer's done. So I am taking these jars out of the canner, and I'm putting them on a towel on a table. So you don't want to put them directly onto something hard. You want to have something underneath it to protect them a bit. And as I take them out, I'm just going to tighten these caps, I think. And I've never used these caps before, so this is kind of a weird thing for me. Yeah, I could do that. So anyways, this is done. We've now got 8 bottles, 8 12-ounce bottles of Chokecherry. Well, we're down one. One exploded there. That's fun. But you know what? The other 7, we can still eat. There we go. Look at that. All done. So what I'm working on now over here is some barbecue sauce. Now this is not going to be easy to do a video of, so I've decided not to. But yeah, I'm doing this big pot of barbecue sauce. I got a bunch of jars. I'll be canning it, and this is my prototype proof of concept run for a future product. So anyways, look guys, this has just been fun for me, even though I'm tired and I really shouldn't have done this, and I've still got to bake a cake today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, throw them down below. So just add your comments. You know, I want to hear from you. The more you comment, the more you guys interact with me, and me with you, the more YouTube will pay attention, and maybe eventually I'll get people watching my videos, besides the 2 or 3 of you that do. Have a good day, folks. Talk to you later.